oil marketers on Sunday, just yesterday, indicated that the cost of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, could rise from between 680 to 720 naira per litre in Nigeria in the coming weeks. This estimate is based on the dollar's rise from 9.10 to about 9.50 at the parallel market. And as you see that chart over there, rising crude oil prices. Some other news coming on the wires. MTN Group, Africa's biggest wireless carrier, has said that MasterCard has agreed to take a minority stake in its financial technology business. The company has valued the stake at $5.2 billion. MTN Chief Executive Officer Ralph Mupita said in a statement, signing of the definitive investment agreements is expected to occur in the very near term. All right, reactions still pouring in to the 2022 financials from the Central Bank of Nigeria, actually 2015 through 2022. And this is where we're going to kick things off. External reserves, 18.1 billion. If you back out the pledges to JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and the currency forward obligations from what was reported in the results at 32.4 billion. Damilare Ojo, he is the head of investment research at Meristem Securities. He joins us to discuss. Damilare, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Lotus. Thank you.
All right, before we get to fuel and other things, let's see if there's so much to discuss. What's your take on what this FX, the reserves, the net reserves, after you back everything out? What's the impact there? What do you make of that development?
Yeah, definitely. This particular development just reveals to us what a lot of people have been skeptical about before. A lot of analysts have been talking about why the CBN has not been able to effectively defend the value of the naira in the interbank market, the high and e-window market, and why we've been seeing a free fall in the value of the naira before now. So I think the direct impact of that is that what we have as liquid reserves is actually not what we are seeing on the CBN's website or what we saw in their financial results, which is about 30 to 33 billion USD. What we have as liquid FX is much lower than that, estimated at roughly about 18 billion US dollars. And that also has implication for our ability to also cover our imports. One of the metrics that we look at when we are doing analysis of our foreign trade businesses import cover, using the former figure, the published figure, the gross amount of about 33 billion USD, we have an import cover of about 9 months. But right now, looking at the fact that what we have as liquid FX reserve is just about 18 billion USD, it means that effectively, our import cover is just going to be somewhere between 4 to 6 months, which is just around what the recommended cover is by the IMF.
Now, that is as at December 2022.
Exactly.
We are currently in August of 2023. So unless we get another disclosure from the CBN, is it not possible that figure of 18 billion could be less? Because they've obviously tried to defend the currency over the next 9 months this year. Is it not possible?
It's not even about being possible. That's definitely the fact, because even the gross that they have been reporting has been declining so far this year. And we know that what they can spend from that is, gross is what they have as liquid FX. So which means that the 18 billion we are saying, they've already used part of it. Remember, we also redeemed one Eurobond just 2 months ago.
Wasn't that $500 million?
500, exactly.
Yeah.
So that also means that we've used part of what we have, 18 billion as at 2022 full year. So right now we are looking at maybe somewhere around 17 billion USD. So that, like I said, puts a strain on the ability of the CBN to be able to defend the value of the naira, and we might just continue to see continuous decline increase in the exchange rate.
Okay, let's get to something we already know, Ways and Means. They finally put the official stamp there, 23 trillion. The CBN has pretty much admitted to breaching the CBN Act. How worried should we be about having to pay this debt and the opportunity cost of paying back this debt?
Well, I think that they've already taken a step towards securitizing the Ways and Means, and that has already passed legislative approval. So more or less like that has been taken care of. But what is important is that we shouldn't let that kind of impunity go on forever. I think that the fact that the CBN didn't, the Ways and Means is one of the reasons why the CBN has not been has not been able to publish it. They've been trying to, make sure that they don't publish the financial performance before now. And I think the reason why they published it right now is, maybe two things. One, the president during the inaugural speech, May 29, he mentioned that there needs to be some cleanup within the CBN, if you recall that. And then I think this is one of those cleanups. And at the end of the day, it's also to attract, to make sure that we have more transparency in terms of our monetary policy formulation. So transparency starts with the CBN also being being transparent about its financial position, its true position. So I think that is what's important about this around there. But in terms of repayments, that's already been taken care of with the securitization. It's going to be spread over 40 years at 9%. Yeah.
We'll see whether the market accepts that 9%. Damilare, this credit loss expense, we didn't really have much insight into what it could have been. This 865, or is it 867 billion? What could that, do we need further disclosure? Is it the anchor borrowers program? What could that, what could
yes,
that be?
Generally, from the financial statements that the CBN released, there are a lot of explanations that the CBN needs to do. I think it's interesting because this is a kind of financials that analysts will see and will be earnestly looking forward to having an earnings update or earnings call from the management of the company if it were a publicly listed company. But CBN is not a publicly listed company, so we won't have that kind of privilege to be able to interact with the CBN on it. But I think the CBN should go a step further by coming out to explain. There are a lot of things that need explanation in those in those financials. One of them being this credit loss, impairment. And I think there's no. CBN has been having a lot of intervention funds over time, and we've not actually been seeing a lot of people would argue that we've not been seeing the impact of those intervention funds. And there were rumors sometimes around, I think, late last year, that a lot of farmers that took loans from the anchor borrowers program could not repay, that some of them were even diverting the funds for personal reasons. The rumors went as far as saying some people were marrying, new wives and all of that. Whether that is true or not, but I think what's important is, from an analytical point of view, the CBN needs to explain exactly what is happening, or maybe have a publication on the intervention funds that they've been having so far. How much, who gets what amount, what is the repayment plan, and what is the performance of those funds so far?
Loans. We noticed that staff loans jumped about 120%, I think, year on year. Now that's 2021 to 2022. If you go back to 2014 up until 2023, that's like an over 200% climb. Now, I can understand you supporting your staff with loans so they can, bridge the gap between when their paychecks come in. But it's kind of a big jump. Mm-hmm. What do you make here?
It's quite, I would say it's quite unfortunate, because if the CBN was to be a publicly listed company, we won't even be here discussing this. The market would already be reacting to that kind of development. And from looking at the CBN being a regulator and allowing this kind of thing to happen, in fact, they wouldn't even allow it to happen to the banks that they are regulating in the first place, or they shouldn't allow it to happen. But then seeing that even within itself as a central bank, having that kind of thing happen, I think that is not right. And it's part of the things that I said, that the CBN needs to come out and explain exactly what is going on with some of those figures. So it's at the end of the day, we saw a jump of over 100%, 120% within just a year. What has happened between December now and even now, we don't even know yet, because it's only annual results that they even publish. Right. Let's even just hope that going forward they won't pile up another 7 years before they even publish another one. So I think we need a lot of more disclosure regarding some of those line items.
Let's quickly get to Guinness. Guinness had to put out a notice saying that they are not leaving Nigeria. I guess it's because of the whole GSK thing. But beyond that, there was very interesting stat here. GSK's revenues, or rather, when we can put up that notice. But anyway, they put out a notice saying that we're not leaving. Why do you think they had to do that? As far as letting the market know, because that's a publicly traded company.
Yes. The market is moved by different things, and one of them is sentiment, right? And the market is looking at the consumer goods sector as, holistically now. And within that sector, H2 performance, a lot of those companies listed in that sector took a lot of beating. You know, they took a beating from the fact that we effectively deregulated the FX, you know, market. So you're having impairments, you're having FX losses rising a lot because a lot of them have FX liabilities. And when you reprice those liabilities in Naira, I mean, when you convert from dollar to Naira at a much higher rate, you would then be having, you know, losses related to that. And that is what has happened to a lot of the listed companies, including Guinness, including Nestle. I mean, you have a lot of the consumer goods sector fall into that bucket. And in fact, the effect is so much that many of them are now even carrying negative equity position on their balance sheet.
Wow.
And the market is looking at that. In fact, last week, the sector was one of the, I think just two sectoral indices recorded a week-on-week decline, and the consumer goods index was one of them. So there's a lot of speculation about whether other consumer goods sector players, especially those that have foreign backing, that have, you know, foreign parent companies, are going to follow the route of GSK. So that speculation is in the market, and I think that's why it's important for them to quickly put up that notice, because once the markets have that kind of sentiment regarding a company, you then just be seeing sell-offs on their tickers, and no company's management will be happy seeing sell-offs on their tickers like that. So I think that's why they had to put up that notice.
Damilare Ojo, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Head of Investment Research at Meristem Securities Ltd. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.